Breaking news today.
Please subscribe and then check notification box to get all breaking news alerts.
If you thought former President Obama left America with a few hidden presents for citizens, then you should see what's crawling around the country right now. A British jihadi bride married America's most senior member of ISIS, and now she's trying to rock out like a soccer mom in suburban Dallas. She must think a new life removes her from the past of her connection to ISIS, but people who know don't forget. People who learned about it now won't forget either. Her name is Tanya Georgilis and she's 33 years old. She has previously stated that she had a dream like to have her kids become demented terrorists. That's not like the dream Martin Luther had, and the radicalization of her and her family is very disturbing. But then she split with her ISIS husband and now she thinks a new life as a normal person is possible, but once someone goes to that extreme, others will wonder if it's ever possible to cut ties with ISIS and live a normal life. An interview with Atlantic gave more harrowing information than you'd like. Our dreams were to have land of our own, raise a family and train them be assassins or whatever, soldiers, and then eventually go join the jihad, she said of her ex-husband John Georgilis, an American-born convert to Islam who has risen to the upper ranks of ISIS. From the comfort of her new life on the northern outskirts of Dallas, where she lives with John wealthy parents and attends a Unitarian church with her IT programmer boyfriend Craig, Tanya described the extraordinary journey that took her from England to Syria, and finally America. The First Lady of ISIS is reported, by Daily Mail, to be born in London as one of 5 children. She claimed to face a lot of racism in her childhood due to bad neighbors who would smash their windows and cause her to feel like an outsider. It's not something kids should ever go through, but that doesn't mean she should have grown up to marry a member of ISIS either. But then you realize what may have brought her to that decision, which we can infer from when she said I was looking for a way to retaliate, and it makes you feel like she was bullied. But still, she's connected to ISIS and you can only imagine it might be nearly impossible to disconnect from a terrorist organization, or if she's truly removed from them at all. All conspiracy theories aside, it's a legitimate concern to America to have her in the country due to her previous connections and unknown connections now. Who is she still in touch with? Who is she talking to when no one's listening? Her ISIS husband grew up in Plano, Texas, and Daily Mail reports that he was a rebellious teenage drug user who dropped out of school and converted to Islam after the events of 9/11 and likely the condemnation of the Islamic religion. John eventually met Tanya and they began having children and talking about joining ISIS in Syria. How they went from the honeymoon stage of a relationship to the possible planning of traveling to Syria to become terrorists is quite the extreme. They had 3 children and another on the way when, in 2013, they began discussing joining ISIS in Syria. John wanted to go to Syria, and I said I wasn't ready, not while the kids are small, she recalls. It's great to know that John, the drug-using ISIS guy, was sympathetic about the kids. It's all about the kids in marriage, right? Maybe not. If it was, then people wouldn't join ISIS and drag them into a life of distorted inabilities to assimilate to modern civilized culture and oppression of women. If they really cared about their kids, then they wouldn't have had kids in the first place, knowing that they plan to live a life in terrorism. ISIS isn't exactly the best influence on children unless one is breeding just to build future detonation devices for their explosive vests. A life decision that will affect the children forever and strip them of the ability to live a normal life. What's next for Tanya? She's on Match.com doing online dating ever since breaking up with John. I went to the dating website Match, I wrote an essay, I have 4 kids. My husband abandoned me to go become the next Osama bin Laden. I got 1,300 replies. She met her new beau Craig, an IT worker, within 24 hours on the site. Does Craig know about her former life living with the top ISIS guy in America? Is Craig her new ISIS sympathizing boyfriend? Craig might be the new pawn in a deadly attack, as he either knows not what he's gotten into or he's well into it and can't wait for the sparks to fly. Authorities should keep an eye on these two.